Fred. It's
Yes.
Carolina here.
Hey,
I have a
Carolina.
question about your poetry.
Uh-huh.
Do you feel that your poetry allows you a certain freedom in your life that maybe life doesn't allow?
What do you mean? Like freedom? Like.
Well, like painting, it's kind of, you can do whatever you want or express whatever you want
Mhm.
in a book or on painting. That, you know, are you attracted to poetry because you can express yourself in any way that you want, or?
I mean, poetry is different than painting.
Mm-hmm.
When I say it's different, because
Well, it's verbal. You're
yeah,
more
it's
verbal.
verbal. You're working with words,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes words can please people,
Mm-hmm.
and words can offend people too. So
Offend people.
yeah, depends on how you use the words. But as a poet, I think poetry is a way to escape to
For you,
yeah for me yeah to
escape what?
when I say to escape, for example, let's say right now we're doing an interview, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're using
Words.
words that we use in like everyday life,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no images, there's no metaphors, there's nothing like that. But with poetry is different. Poetry is like I can say something, but you have to dig to look for what I mean exactly. You understand what I mean? Because I use so much images, so much.
Metaphor, analogies.
Yes, exactly. And in that way, it's like it's different.
Suggestive.
Yeah.
You can be suggestive, and maybe you can say you meant several things.
Yeah.
You can say,
For example, in Haiti, we used to have like a dictatorship, right?
mm-hmm.
From 1957 to 1986.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when I read the writers, the poets who experienced the dictatorship in Haiti, they used to talk about the dictatorship, but without talking about it because they use so much images
And metaphors.
and yes, exactly.
So that they wouldn't get in trouble with
Yeah,
political reasons.
exactly. So
That happens still, and it happens in the Dominican Republic. They do the same thing that
yeah.
I've noticed with,
And I know it,
but in painting and poetry. So
is painting the same way? You can be abstract
I
without
think you can say more with writing. That's true.
yeah.
Be specific.
Yep. So I don't know if I answer your question
That
about poetry. So yeah, so I think it's a way
to express yourself.
to express
and-
yourself,
Do you
to
think?
free yourself.
Do you think you started in poetry because of political reasons that you want to express?
No,
Like-
my experience with poetry is different because as a little boy, my mom was my teacher
Mm-hmm.
when I was little in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom used to give me books to read, like poetry books to read, and then those poems I had to read them at church. Like for example, for Christmas and when there is an event at church, I used to study those poems. I have